Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome back to Parsha Perspectives for today. We have the privilege of learning Parsha's Sisa together. Incredible Parsha that is packed with halacha, with story, with narrative that continues to impact us until today. Our Parsha series is generously sponsored by Becky and Eddie Katz and family in memory of Becky's father, Le'ili Nishmas David ben Menachem Monash. Our learning is in memory of David Grossman. This morning is co-sponsored by Sylvia Przansky in memory of her machatenis, Sue Hausdorf. So Neshama should have an aliyah. And by Amy and Michael Tarlow in loving memory of Michael's father, Yechezkel Aharon ben Chaim Meir, whose third yahrzeit is Thursday. We're very grateful to the Tarlows for all their generosity and leadership in our community. I want to begin by saying a big thank you, an enormous thank you, because we, Baruch Hashem, had a successful campaign. Thanks to you, those who listen and watch and who come and who learn, and those who took a moment to contribute and to give. We're never done. Unlike the Mishkan, we'll never say we have enough, we need more. But the campaign was a success, and it was only a success because of you. So I really want to begin by first and foremost saying a big thank you to all those who stepped up, who gave, who enabled us to continue to share and inspire and teach. And if you haven't yet, it's not too late. Of course, we would continue to welcome it. But for all those who did, thank you so much. Page 484 in the Art Scroll Stone Chumash, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe Lemor. Hashem told Moshe the following: Ki Sisa es Rosh Bnei Yisrael Ifkudehem. When you want to take a census, it's time to count. It's time to take a census of the Jewish people. Lifkudehem, according to our number. How? So the simple way, people walk around with a clipboard, they knock on the door. You send out an email, a link, you ask everybody to fill out the form. Not the Jewish people, not the Torah. The way that we take a census is, we ask everyone, V'nasnu ish kofer nafsho Hashem bifkodosam, v'lo yeh b'hem negef bifkodosam. We ask every person to give an atonement for their soul when counting them, so that there'll be no plague among you. In other words, even implicit in the instruction to take a census and do a count is, it's dangerous. There's a risk, so we've got to get it right. We want to make sure that the census, that counting the people will elevate, will be an atonement, will enrich, not, God forbid, risk, or the opposite. So how do we do that? Pasuk continues, Zayitnu. Instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of assigning a number, instead of walking around with a clipboard, instead every person gives a half shekel. We add up the half shekalim, and we have our total. We know how many there are. Who qualifies? Those who are 20 and up. And there's a specific reason for that, because we're not simply doing a census stam. It was to be able to form an army, to be able to defend ourselves, to know how many we are, and so on. So it was those eligible to serve, which was 20 and up. I've been quoting this new Koren Rabbi Sachs Chumash. So many have reached out to say, where can I find it? And I myself spent some time online looking for the link to share with you. It's not out yet. This is one of the benefits of being a rabbi. And, it makes you lose your hair and go gray prematurely, but you get free books in the mail. If that doesn't make it worth it and even it out, I don't know what does. But you get Sfarim even before they're published. And Koren is coming out with this. You can only so far order in bulk for shuls and yeshivas, but you'll be able to come out with it soon. In our local Koren store, we'll have it, but it's not available yet. So I'm just whetting your appetite. So Rabbi Sachs, it's a collection of Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Zichron Livracha, on the Parsha, organized in a beautiful chumash, with Rashi, Onkelos, and his commentary on the bottom. And he says the following: the Parsha begins with God's command to Moshe to take a census of the people. But it's phrased in a curious manner. Moshe is told not to count the people directly, but obliquely. Each is to give a half shekel, and only thus was their number to be calculated. The Pasuk warns Moshe to do it in a way so that no plague strikes them when you count them. And Rabbi Sachs is noting what we mentioned. Why would I think that a plague would strike? You're in Disney, you're counting up your kids, you're on the empty nester trip in Panama, and somebody's taking the number on the bus, make sure everybody's here. Nobody says, wait, don't do that, there's going to be a plague. Wait, stop counting. In class, you're taking attendance. Wait, stop, there's going to be a plague. Why would one think you're going to have a plague because you're taking a census, because you're taking a count? Says Rabbi Sachs, evidently, it's dangerous to count Jews. Many centuries later, ignoring this warning, David HaMelech, King David, took a census of the people, and disaster struck the nation. Shmuel Beis, Perach Avdallah, chapter 24. To this day, we do not needlessly count Jews, even to calculate whether there's a minyan in the shul. Our custom is to take a pasuk with 10 words, Hoshia es amecha, uvarech es nachal asecha, and use that instead. So even when we want to see, do we have a minyan? Can we start? Baruch Hashem, BRS, we keep adding more and more and more minyanim. We have our daily mincha plug, now our daily plug, mincha marav, late maravs, many shacharises. We're still davening. There's still going to be a couple more minyanim in the other room. Half your day will be over. There'll still be davening shacharis in the other room. So they want to know, do we have a minyan? So we don't say 1, 2, 3, 4. We say weird things like not 1, not 2, not 3. Weirdos. We're weirdos. Who counts like that? How weird. Or we count Hoshea es amecha uvarech es. And who remembers what you're up to? Hoshea es amecha. The classic commentators on Shmos give several answers. Rashi says, counting is fraught with danger of ayin hara, evil eye. That's why many people, if you say, how many children can ayin hara do you have? How many great-grandchildren? How many great-great-grandchildren are you up to? Don't mention, don't talk about it. We don't say a number. Ayin hara, we don't count, don't offer a number. Ayin hara. Rabbeinu Bechaya suggests when people are counted, they're numbered as individuals separated from the community. And there's a danger that an individual's merit may be insufficient to save him from the adverse judgment. Don't give a number, because if you're number 4, you're number 6, you're number 2, now you're a number separate, independent, apart from the whole. And as an individual separate, apart from the whole, now Hashem says, bring me his file. Bring me her record. Let me see how they're doing and what their worthiness is. So we say, me? No, I blend in. I'm just part of the whole community. I'm hiding behind the tzaddik. I'm hiding behind the tzaddikis. I just blend in. I combine. I complement. I supplement with the great people around me. Don't look at me, measure me, count me as an individual. That's Rabbeinu Bechaya. So we had Rashi, we had Rabbeinu Bechaya. But Rabbi Sachs offers his own suggestion. Why do nations count their numbers? To estimate their strength, military, political, or economic. I was just seeing the news. They're going to try to pass a bill today to stop the government shutdown. Apparently the president had to be making phone calls last night. The vice president is on the Hill. Why? They want to make sure they have the numbers. They want to make sure they have the numbers. Because what are the numbers? Strength. Who's polling better in the numbers? Who's going to get the vote? Who has the numbers? Behind the ancient practice of counting populations, the assumption that there's strength in numbers. The larger the people, the stronger it is. That is why it's dangerous to count Jews. If we ever came to believe that there's strength in numbers, we would, God forbid, give way to despair. For 4,000 years, the strength of the Jewish people has never lain in numbers. What an insight by Rabbi Sachs. If we would count with numbers and we'd realize how few we are and will always be, we would give up, we would despair. Imagine if little Israel would look at the 26, 27 Arab countries that surround her, who want to annihilate her, obliterate her, destroy her, and they would look at the numbers, the billions in the world, and say, little us, several million, what chance do we have? What are our odds? If we would look and count by the numbers, we'd given up long ago. For then did it lie. To this, the Torah gives an answer of great beauty. In effect, Hashem tells Moshe, do not count Jews. Ask them to give, and then count the contributions. That's how you measure the strength of the Jewish people. In numbers, we're small. But in terms of our contribution, we are vast. In almost every age, Jews have given something special to the world. In one era, it was Tanakh, the most influential document in the history of the world. In later centuries, Jews produced a never-ending stream of scholars, saints, poets, and philosophers. It is not that Jews are brighter, cleverer, more energetic, or talented than others. That's a racist doctrine, and I reject it, writes Rabbi Sachs. Nor is it that Jews, more than others, are driven to succeed. That is at the heart of much anti-Semitic propaganda, and it's false. The simple answer given in the Torah and engraved in Jewish sensibility is that to be a Jew is to be asked to give, to contribute, to make a difference, to help in the monumental task that has engaged Jews since the dawn of our history, to make the world a home for the divine presence, a place of justice, compassion, human dignity, and the sanctity of life. Through our action, though our ancestors cherished the relationship with Hashem, they never saw it as a privilege. Instead, they saw it as a responsibility. Hashem challenged them to give. In that familiar yet astonishing phrase, he invited them to be his partner, his shutuf in Maisa Bereshis. Gemara Shabbos Kuf Yutes. Hashem invited us, be my partner in creation itself. And we have answered that call. Hashem invites us and he says, be my partner in repairing and redeeming and molding and shaping this world. Be my partner in making it a better place. Be my partner in fighting for justice, compassion, human dignity, the sanctity of life, for Kedusha, for holiness. Be my partner. And we have answered that call. And therefore, we're counted not by our number, because our strength is not in our number. We'll always remain a few. Where is our strength? In what does it lie? That we've answered that call, our contributions. So how do Jews do a census? We take a census in a very illogical and in a very inefficient way, which is give something and that's how you count. Imagine they knock on your door for the American census. The city of Boca Raton is coming upon its 100th anniversary in May, I believe. It's amazing how young this entire city is. Imagine they knock on your door for a census. And they say, we're doing a census. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of Boca Raton. Please, if you would contribute, we'll be able to count you. You say, count me. I'm right here. I'm waving. Take a picture. You can count me. Why do I have to give you something in order for you to count me in the census? Pay my taxes. I live here. I'm already counted. So in Judaism, in Yiddishkeit, the Torah, Hashem says, no. You're not counted by passively being a number. How does one count? When you make a contribution. That's what counts. Not our number will always be few. Our contribution, boy, do we punch above our weight. Boy, do we contribute and make a difference well beyond our number. And I don't have to get into the Nobel Prize winners and the leaders of movements and the fighters of justice and the difference we've made. This country, the Declaration of Independence, its very language is founded on Judeo values, justice, charity, equality. That's our contribution to the world. And that's what the Torah is communicating. So why? Why do we have Ki Sisa Rosh B'nai Yisrael? It's time for a census. Oh, wait, there's going to be a plague. What's the plague? Rashi says, Ayin Hara. If you give a count, a number, you're welcoming Ayin Hara. Because you're going to say, I've got 15 children. You're going to say, I've got 22 grandchildren, and I'm only 50 years old. Somebody's going to say, why them, not me? And there's going to be an Ayin Hara. That's Rashi. So we don't say a number. We don't say a number. Rabbeinu Bachaya says, no, that's not the issue. The issue is we want to be part of a community. We want to rely on the merit of complementing one another. And when we separate ourselves out as an individual, as a number, now we are vulnerable. And Rabbi Sachs offers a third interpretation. It's not that. Says Rabbi Sachs, you know what the danger, the plague will bring upon ourselves? If we believe that it's a matter of the numbers, we'll always be few. We don't ever put it to a vote. Truth is never put to a vote. Because if that were the case, the Jewish people would have been canceled long ago. It's not about the number. It's about the contribution. It's about answering the call. And that's why it's done with a machatzis hashekel. Rav Sternbach has an interesting interpretation. Says Rashi on the machatzis hashekel. Zakt Rashi on the words machatzis hashekel. Moshe Rabbeinu looked and he said, half shekel? I don't get it. What does that look like? I don't know what you mean. Hashem said, give a kick, give a look. He showed him a coin, a half shekel, a $50 on fire. A $50 in the image of being on fire. Kamin madbeya shel eish. And Moshe Rabbeinu, now I get it. Now we're good. It makes sense. What didn't he understand? And what made sense now? And we've offered interpretations in the past. We won't review at length, but such as that money is a prime example of a resource, a commodity that can go either way. You contribute money, you can build, you can elevate, you can enrich, you can help, you can support. Money can do incredible things, but money can corrupt, and money can blind, and money can destroy. Where do we see a precedent before currency, commodity, money, that something itself is neutral and it can either build or destroy, create or eliminate? Where do we see that? Fire. Fire is energy. Fire is warmth. Fire is light. And fire, ask the people in California, fire can destroy. Fire can destroy. Money is like fire. It is not inherently good or bad. It's all what we do with it, how we direct it, what boundaries we place around it, how careful and vigilant we are with it. And that's why Kamin Madbeya Shalesh, people are contributing money. We're now talking money. So Hashem says you need to know that money is like playing with fire. Fire. It can do incredible things. It can also be horrific things. Money is like fire. That's what we shared in the past. But Rav Sternbach in his Sefer Tam V'das has a different interpretation. He says, "Sheniskasha Moshe b'miyot hanesina, lama rak machatzis." Moshe's bothered. He says, Hashem, you got to give me more work to do. I don't like math. I don't like algebra. Now I've got to start doing math. Everyone's going to give a half shekel. That means that when I take the total number of contributions, it'd be much more efficient if everybody give a full shekel. Everybody give $1. However many dollars is however many people. When everyone gives a half, now I've got to do math. So Hashem, why are you asking people to give a half instead of a whole? Lama rak machatzis. We've answered this in the past too. And it's gewaltige sheva brachos ufruf under the Chuppah Torah. It's all yours. Which is what? Everyone contributes. We are measured not by their number, but what we contribute. But when we contribute, we need to know we're only making a partial contribution. None of us is complete on our own. We need to combine and we need to complement with others. And only when we combine, only when we integrate, only when we partner, only when we work with others are we whole. But if we think my contribution, I'm the hero, I got it done, I get the credit, it's all me, there is no whole when it comes to the contribution. It's a half. I've given my part. Someone else gives their part. And it's only when we all give our part that we become a whole. That's why it's a half. But that's also not yet Rav Sternbach. That's also from the past. So what does Rav Sternbach say? Says Rav Sternbach. Listen to this. Herelo HaKadosh Baruch Hu madbeya shel eish. Hainu eish shel madbeya. She'ikar mitzvos hanesina yicheshka v'slahavuso shel ha'adam be'eis nesinaso. She'zamora al nadivas libo. U'ritzona yosem me'ribo hanesina atzma. Why was it a half shekel? Because a half shekel is only half the mitzvah. How is half shekel only half the mitzvah? You have to give. They gave. Because half of it is to give. The other half is, how do you give? Do you give on fire? Do you give with a bren? Do you give with excitement? Do you give with enthusiasm? Do you give with passion? Do you give with joy? Are you on fire? You give because somebody pushed you and the peer pressure and they guilted you and you're miserable and you're forbidden and you're resentful and you'll carry it against and you'll always remind who you gave to. How you give is the other half the mitzvah. Half the mitzvah, it's a machatzis shekel, says Rav Sternbach. Half the mitzvah, give. But the other half the mitzvah is how you give. And that's true for everything. That's true for everything. When you were asked to take out the garbage, you could take out the garbage, that's half of it. The other half of it, do you do it with a smile? Do you do it with joy? Do you do it with pleasure? Should you have thought of it on your own? Half the mitzvah is you gave the birthday card. The other is that you have to be reminded. Did you give with joy? Did you write something nice in it? Half the mitzvah is you gave the mashilach. You gave the organization. You gave the yeshiva, the school that your children went to. You gave to the shul that's building, that has transformed your family. You gave. Did you give with a joy, with a passion, with a fire? So it's a machatzis, says Rav Sternbach. Half the mitzvah is the giving. The other half, how you did it. And that's true for all mitzvahs. For all mitzvahs we do, half of it is getting it done. And the other half of it is how we do it. And that's why he answered Moshe's question. Moshe wasn't puzzled how there could be such a thing as a $50. He wanted to know, why would you take a census with a $50? That's not sensible. That makes no sense. Hashem said, no, because I want you to know that half of the mitzvah is giving. So it's a $50, half a shekel. The other half is how you do it, and I want people to do it. Do it on fire. Do it with a bren. Do it with excitement. Do it with joy. Do it with enthusiasm. I want you to know, in this campaign, almost 2,000 people gave. We raised almost $7 million. We're not done. There's more to do, Baruch Hashem. But we paused to say thank you. We're so grateful. One person came in to meet with me and said, I'd like to make my contribution. Many people, we had many meetings. But one person said, I need to come give it to you. Al pi kisvei ha'arizal. I had never heard this before. He came in and he had a coin and he had the writings of the Arizal, the great Kabbalist. And he showed me in the writings of the Arizal that he took the coin that represents 5 and he took it from his hand with his arm, which is Hey, his arm is the Vav, and my arm is the Vav, and my Hey, put it in my hand, and we elevated it. And he said, I'm not just giving. I want to give in a way that, Yud K, Vav K, we spelled Hashem's name with our hands and the way I gave and the way I elevated. I'd never been through anything like that before. Nobody ever gave me anything like that before. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. What a different way of giving. You could say, send me the link, Rabbi. Give me the wire information. Can we Venmo? Can I drop off a brown paper bag of cash? How do we pay? Just tell me. I want to be done with it. Let me be finished with it. How do I do it? There's no credit card fee. What do I do? It was a different experience. It was the other half the shekel. Half the shekel was, I want to give. The other half the shekel was, let's get ready. We're about to do a mitzvah. I want to give to you that I'm giving to you with my heart. I'm giving to you, I'm on fire. I'm giving it to you with all myself. That's what Rav Sternbach says. Half shekel, don't just do the, take out the garbage, change the diaper, buy the birthday card, do the dish. That's half of it. Shake the lulav, hear the shofar, buy the matzah. That's half of it. The other half of it is, how do you do it already? If you're going to do it, what attitude, what pnimius, what in our essence do we bring to what we are doing? Lastly, on this opening pasuk, then I promise you we will move on. The Lavozesh, Rav Druk says the following: Machza shekel b'shekel hakodesh. The Torah calls the half shekel a half shekel. Take a half shekel of the sacred shekel. A half shekel of the sacred shekel. What does that mean? Machza shekel of b'shekel hakodesh. Says Rashi, b'mishkal hashekel shekatzavti l'chalishko bo shekle hakodesh gion shkolam amur b'parshas erech unustei achuza. What does it mean, machza shekel? So Rashi says, half of the shekel, the same shekel that we talk about in other contexts where we are talking about the holy shekel. He says, let me give you another interpretation. Half shekel. Kol shekel yahafech liyo shekel hakodesh, lo rak hamachzis shenason niskacha b'kedushas kodesh, ela gam hamachatzis hashniya shenishra biyado, hi ru'uya likar me'ata chelek mishekel hakodesh. If you give half a shekel, what does that imply? That you still have the other half the shekel. So when you give a half shekel, you made the whole shekel a shekel hakodesh. How? Because when you take part of your resources and you demonstrate that you understand the purpose, you understand the meaning of having resources, you've elevated not only what you gave, but you've elevated also what you keep. So it's a machzah shekel, b'shekel hakodesh. It's a half shekel among the total shekel. When you give, you are elevating also what you hold on to, what you keep. Because what you're showing and demonstrating is all that I have, I know is from Hashem. I'm giving what's required. I'm giving the requisite. I'm giving what I'm obligated. And now I'm entitled to use what I have. But what I have is not secular, profane, mundane, selfish. My entire financial structure, my whole net worth is elevated when I take a piece of what I have and I allocate and I give. Now I've elevated the entire thing. So machzah shekel, this half, b'shekel hakodesh, has elevated also what I have on, hold on to. Because I have all shekel. Hashem says, give me half. I gave him half, but the half I now spend on my house and my car, my electricity, my vacation, my Shabbos table, my yontif, my books, my clothing, all of that's also to serve you, Hashem. I need a home to host people. I need a car to take me to the Chumash shir, to the Parsha shir. I need resources. I want to get dressed to be a Ben Torah, Bas Torah. I want to make a Kiddush Hashem in all that I do. So there's the half shekel I give you, but the half I hold on to, I've demonstrated through the half I gave you that the half I hold on to, I'm also living a life that is kulo directed to you. And therefore it's a machzah shekel, be shekel hakodesh. It reflects back on the other half, on the total, on the whole shekel. And then he has another interpretation, but I told you and I promised you we would move on. Perek Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Yud Ches. We're skipping the rest of Perek Lamed. We have the Kior. Now this is also out of place. We're skipping all of this because I'm told I never get to the end of the Parsha, so I'm a work in progress. Right, Ma? I'm a work in progress. So I'm trying. We're going to get to the end of the Parsha. But we have here the Kior. The Kior is the laver. It's the sink, the portable sink, where the Kohanim would sanctify their hands and feet before they'd go serve. Where would you expect this to appear? Sisa. What's it doing here? Where did it belong? This big copper water vessel, utensil, the Kohanim would wash their hands and feet to prepare for the service. It was in the Mishkan. So where did we learn about all the vessels of the Mishkan? Back in Parshas Truma. Then we stuck one in at the end of Parshas Tetzaveh, the Mizbeach HaKetoras, and yet now we have one more here. Why is it here? Why wasn't it there? We discussed that in the past. What was it made out of? The bottom of it? Mirrors. And why was it made out of mirrors? Where were these mirrors from? Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, I don't want no mirrors in our Mishkan. Mirrors are instruments They're tools of vanity. This is not a place of vanity. You're going to come into the Mishkan and go, you're going to come into the Mishkan and everybody's going to start to vanity. How do I look? Do I look okay? That's not what the Mishkan is. This is the holiest place on earth, a place of intense divine dwelling. You're going to vanity? Hashem says, no, that's not vanity. The holy women who beautified themselves, who preserved the continuity of our people when the men were willing to despair and give up, those are the mirrors. Betzalel had a different interpretation. You know why the mirrors? Before you go to the Mizbeach and offer a sacrifice, before you ask Hashem for forgiveness, you know what you need to do? You need to look in the mirror. If you don't look in the mirror and take responsibility and accountability for who you are, you can't ask for forgiveness. Real forgiveness requires first looking in a mirror, but I said we're not talking about this now. Next, we have the Ketoras. Kach l'cha b'samim rosh, mar deror. Always the week of Purim, we read Sisa, mar deror, Mordechai. Mardachi, mar deror is an allusion. The Gemara Megillah tells us, where do we see Mordechai in the Torah? Mar deror, we have the ingredients of, we spoke about last week, the Ketoras had the chelbana, this terrible odor of but it was part of the mixture, because all of the Jewish people, Shul has to be a place where everybody belongs, And we have the incense, the Ketoras, takes us to Perek Chaf Aleph. Perek Chaf Aleph, Hashem speaks to Moshe, I've called Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur lamata Yehuda, Amalei so Ruach Elokim, I filled him with the Spirit of God, Bechachma, Betvuna, Uvedas. What is that acronym? Chachma, Bina, and Das is the acronym for Lubavitch. No, it's the acronym for Chabad. Chachma, Bina, and Das. The Alter Rebbe, we're starting tomorrow. We have completed several series. I realize I should really share them with you as series, because we learned together the entire Sharim B'Tfilah of Rav Pinchas. We learned together the entire Mesilas Yesharim, Ramchal. We learned together the entire Igeres HaRamban. We finished it last week. And tomorrow we are beginning, drum roll please, I say with great humility and fear, but tomorrow we're beginning Tanya, Sefer Tanya. So the Alter Rebbe, Tanya, is all based on this pasuk. Chachma, Bina, Das, Chabad. That is the basis of Tanya. So Hashem says, I have filled Betzalel. These are the necessary ingredients, requirements. This is the job interview, the resume. You have to have Chachma, Bina, and Das. What is the difference? 3 types of wisdom, knowledge, intellect. What's the difference between Chachma, Bina, and Das? Let's see how the ArtScroll translates it. God says, I filled them with wisdom, insight, and knowledge. So let me ask you a simple question. What's the difference between wisdom, insight, and knowledge? Translation, I don't know, helped us here. So that you'll have to start listening or coming to the Tanya Shir together. So Betzalel is endowed with these great qualities, therefore he was most qualified to serve in this role, says Hashem. But fast forward, we keep going. Then we interrupt for the Shabbos. Observe my holy Shabbos. Why does Hashem stick in Shabbos here? You might think that building the Mishkan is so important that it might supersede. You should violate Shabbos to build a house for me, says Hashem. No, take a break, take a rest. Shabbos is so core. More than the Jews have kept Shabbos, Shabbos has kept the Jews. So even versus the building of the Mishkan, observe Shabbos. The word Shabbosai, is that singular or plural? Plural. It should say Shabbosai, observe my Shabboses. But it doesn't. It says observe my Shabboses. Why is it in the plural? Shabbosai, not Shabbosai. Why is it in the plural? We've talked about that in the past as well. So here we have Shabbos, but let's keep going. To Pasuk Yirches. We're on page 492. 492. Vayten el Moshe kechalosol daber ito b'Har Sinai shnei luchos ha'idus. When Hashem finished speaking to him on Mount Sinai, Hashem gave Moshe the 2 tablets of testimony. Luchos even ksuvim etzba Elokim. These were the 2 tablets, stone tablets, inscribed by the finger of Hashem. So these parshios are written according to Rashi out of order. Ein muktam amucha b'Torah. These parshios are not written in order. I don't understand. Are we up to the Mishkan? Are we still at Har Sinai? Cheta Egel, the mistake, the sin of the golden calf. What order did it all happen in? So really, first Moshe went on the mountain, he got the Torah. He came down, he saw them, the golden calf, he broke the luchos. And the answer, the antidote, the response to it was, Hashem said, here's a Mishkan. We read the Mishkan before the Cheta Egel. Why that is, we could discuss another time. But we need to know, we're acknowledging that it seems to be out of order. So we're back to Moshe being on top of the mountain and getting the 2 tablets. And here the Torah tells us, when Hashem finished speaking to him, he gave Moshe the 2 tablets that are called the tablets of testimony, stone tablets, these miraculous tablets inscribed with the hand of Hashem. Listen to this medrash. Says the medrash Shmos Rabbah, Amar Avavo, Kol Arba'im Yom She'asa Moshe Lamala, Hayla Lomei Torah, Vishocheach. All 40 days that Moshe was on top of the mountain, he would learn Torah with Hashem and forget. Maybe you suffer from this. I already learned the daf this morning. We have a beautiful Kol HaBoker, 6:15 this morning. My wonderful Chavrusa, we learned the daf. What Masechta, what daf, what perek, what topic? If you learn the daf, you're flying. You're flying down the highway of life. You got a chaz, you got a review, but even with it, we learned so much. I like to say, if I would only know what I've taught, I'd be somebody. But people tell me all the time, my dear friend Ben from the 11559, he quotes my own Divrei Torah to me all the time. I said, that's fantastic, that's beautiful. He said, yeah, you said it. I said, I did? I don't remember that. So you could have despair. What's the point? Why wake up in the middle of the night to learn the Daf Yomi and be at the Kol HaBoker? Why come to the Parsha Shir when by the time Shabbos comes, you don't even remember what was said? What's the point? So the Medrash tells us, you know who suffered from this? None other than Moshe Rabbeinu. For 40 days he went on the mountain. He'd learn, and he'd say, what daf is it? What was the topic? Amalei Ribona Olam Yeshli Mem Yom Ben Yodeh Davar. Hashem, I got 40 days under my belt, and I don't know nothing. I don't remember anything. Ma'asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what did Hashem do? Mishehishlim Mem Yom Nasl of Matana Shneimar Vayitain El Moshe. At the end of the 40 days, Hashem gave it to Moshe as a gift. He sent him home and he said, here's a thumb drive, plug it in, download it, you've got it all. Vayitain El Moshe. That's why this pasuk that we just read, chapter 31, verse 18, Vayitain El Moshe kechalosol daberito. When he finished speaking to him, Vayitain, he gave Moshe. Why he gave? Because even when we despair and we think, I forget, what's the point? Hashem gives us a gift. Tzarech lahavin. Asked of Zedel Epstein, the Mashkiach of Torah Or, in his Sefer Ha'aros, Lama nitzracha hanaga kizusha Moshe ben Yitzhar bam yom yagishani deklum. V'chol amal larek. If Hashem was going to give it to him on a thumb drive, if Hashem was going to plug in a Notzar HaChachma, if Hashem was going to allow Moshe as a gift to know it all, why waste 40 days? On day 1, gift him the whole thing. Send him home. Why 40 days of learning, forgetting, learning, remembering? Just stop. Give it to him on day 1. Says Rav Zedel Epstein. Dav ke'etza Moshe Rabbeinu Moser HaTorah. Ba HaTorah lashmeinu shitachen lios talmid hachashav b'yoser shlomei Torah b'pi harav hagadol b'yoser. You could be the greatest rabbi of all time, who's learning Torah from the greatest Rebbe of all time. Who's Moshe's Rebbe? Hashem. He's got the greatest Rebbe of all time, the source of all Torah, the author of the Torah, greatest Rebbe of all Torah, all time, and Moshe is the greatest mind of all time, learning with the greatest vigilance and diligence of all time, basmad of akshanas arba'im yom v'layla, greatest Rebbe, greatest diligence, greatest mind, v'adayin lo hatzliach, and he wasn't successful. He forgot. V'yachad im zeh lo l'sya'ish. But don't despair. Don't give up. Over and over. You got a chaza, you got to try. You have the next day's daf, you have the next parsha shir, you have the next year that you're going to read the same parsha. Kizu aderech latzliach b'Torah. That's the way to succeed in Torah. What Moshe was doing, what Moshe planted in us is a precedent. Never despair when it comes to Torah learning. 40 days in a row, he learned, forgot, learned, forgot, learned, forgot, learned again. And then he had his breakthrough. And we too, learn, keep plugging away, keep sticking with it, keep breaking your teeth, keep coming back, keep reviewing. Chazara, chazara, nachamol chazara. Review it and review it, do it again, and over again, and again. Ein adoma, you can't compare learning 101 times with learning 100 times, over and over and over and over again. And don't despair. And that's why Moshe had to go through this to teach us that message, that lesson. Don't despair. Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Vav, chapter 32, verse 6. People saw Moshe. Now we enter the story. Ooh, Cheta Egel. Breaks our heart every year to read it, even when we know the story. They saw Moshe was delaying. Moshe wasn't coming down from the mountain. So they gathered. And they said, we got to make ourselves a god. Because this man Moshe, who took us out of Egypt, we don't know what happened to him. Nobody's seen him. He's not back on schedule. He's running late. We've got to do something. And so they panic. They panic. We share every year. The Kuzari's insight, which is what makes the most sense to me, gives me the most meaning in this section, is that they were not, in fact, practicing idolatry, worshiping another god, but rather what made them panic? Moshe was the tangible physical connection to Hashem. After all, we're human beings. Our soul is housed in a body, and we operate and we live and we navigate a physical world. So we connect to physical things. We connect to physical things. And they crave the physical connection, and Moshe was that. Kizeh Moshe Ha'ish. Moshe, the man, the physical man, we used to see him and hear him and touch him, and he used to give us a hug and a handshake, and he was there, and we knew he represented Hashem, and he's gone. So now you want me to still have a connection with someone, something I can't see, hear, smell, touch, feel? How? So we need to build something else physical. And that's what drove them and motivated them. And that was, in fact, says the Kuzari, that was understandable. But Hashem says you can't do it on your terms, you got to do it on mine. So what does he give us? A Mishkan. Oh, you need someplace physical? You need something physical? Here's a Sefer Torah for you to hold. Here's a shul for you to go into. Here's a Mishkan. Here's a Beis HaMikdash. Here are karbanos to offer. I get it. It's legitimate. I validate. It's reasonable you need something tangible and physical. But you can't make it up. You don't get just to decide. It's not a function of your creativity, religion. I'm God. And I tell you what to do. And that's what's going on in this. That's what's going on in this passage. So Perek Lamed Beis, Pasuk Vav. What happens? So what happens in the story? Aharon says, wait, don't serve idols. Everybody remove your rings, take off the gold in the ears of your wives, sons, and daughters, bring him to me. They bring him, he takes their hands, he fashions a calf, he built an ought. What's he doing all this for? He's trying to buy time. He's trying to buy time. He knows Hashem has a plan. He knows Moshe's coming back. He just needs to buy some time. He sees the altar and he calls out to them, a festival for Hashem tomorrow. He's buying time. Tomorrow. For today we built it. Go to sleep, everybody. We'll pick it up tomorrow. And by tomorrow, Moshe come back. He's buying some time. Pasuk Vav. They rose early the next day and they offered up the elevation offerings. And they brought peace offerings. The people sat to eat and drink, and they got up to revel. You know, it never occurred to me, but it just did. Why do we stay up all night Shavuos night? The minhag to stay up all night Shavuos night, which is a minhag that only began relatively recently, happened to have begun concurrent to the discovery of coffee, but that's another topic for another time. I'm not joking. Happens to be, there's an article in an academic journal about the discovery of coffee and the mass production distribution of coffee and its impact on us religiously. Tikkun Leil Hoshana Rabbah, Tikkun Leil Shavuos happened to be gain in popularity around the time that the beginning of when coffee spread. But why do we stay up all night Shavuos night? Because we have a famous medrash that tells us the Jewish people overslept. The morning of Har Sinai, they slept in. That alarm went off over and over. They kept hitting snooze, and they overslept. When I was a child, there was a book my father used to read us called Shpeter. Shpeter means later. And Shpeter was all about this guy whose name was Shpeter. Every time you take out the garbage, Shpeter, do your homework, Shpeter. Later, I'll get to it. Later. We still have that book. Should read it to our kids. Shpeter, later. So they woke him up from Matan Torah. Later, Shpeter, hit the snooze button. And it just occurred to me, now it comes to the Chet Tegel. So when it came to Har Sinai, Hashem has a message. Hashem wants to talk to you. Later, I'm going back to sleep. Shpeter. And it came to worshiping the golden calf. Vayashkimu. They woke up early. Before the alarm clock went off, they were up early. They woke up early. They were dressed. They were ready. They ran. Asked Rav Shmuel Bereman, the Tefer Shmuel, Lama lo tiva kadosh baruch hu lech reid ba'oso yom she'aso ha'igel rak himtim lomar lo ad lamacharas sheyered. Why? What's going on over here? What's Pasuk Zayin? They wake up early to go serve. And then Pasuk Zayin, Vayidaber Hashem Moshe lech reid ki shiches amcha asher elis meretz b'zayim. Quick, go down. You've got to see what's going on down there. The people, they made a calf. They built an altar. They're about to offer on it. Quick, go down and get involved. Why didn't Hashem say quick, go down when they were building the Egel? Why did he only say quick and go down and get involved when they're ready to offer on it? Why is it only the next morning when they wake up early, that's when Hashem says, quick, Get down there, get involved. Why not when they first set out to build this Egel? Why not then? Says Rav Shmuel Berenbaum, V'yishlomar, ki etza maisa Egel, kevan shasu osem cheshbon tov, kidei shleim Hashem katzon bli roa, efshar shebe'emes los kavim lavar, orotan Hashem lipo b'avodah zara. They had actually a noble intent. When they first built it, it was why? A means to connect to Hashem. V'araya lezahaisa, im bayom shelamachras hayom miyad osem tshuva al asiyas ha'egel, hayom mispalim mevakshim mechila kamo b'tfilas ne'ilah. And what would be the evidence? What would prove that they had a proper intent when they built it? They were just misguided, misdirected. What would prove that? If they went to sleep that night, they woke up the next morning and they said, well, what did we do? That was a mistake. That was some poor judgment. That wasn't very clear thinking. Ooh, quickly, demolish it, take it apart. We've got to do tshuva. Says Rashi, that word, they woke up, litzachek. But they went to a comedy show? Litzachek means to laugh. They tickled each other? What is litzachek? They woke up early, not später, not later. They woke up early. Why? Litzachek. Was meinst du litzachek? Sagt Rashi, gimel averos chamuros. They woke up to violate the 3 cardinal sins. So now, what they did the next morning after they had the benefit of a night's sleep reflects back that in fact they did not do it for noble reasons. They didn't wake up literally and wake up figuratively to the fact that they had made a terrible error. People make mistakes. We're human. We fail. But what happens when we wake up? What happens the next day? Do we say, I can't believe the way I spoke to you last night. Can't believe the way I reacted. I'm embarrassed by my actions, by my decision, by my choice. How can I repair it? How can I undo it? How can I make it better? Or do we double down? Do we make it worse? Do we stick with it with pride? Do we dig in our heels? And that's what Hashem waited. Vayashkimu. Let's see how they wake up tomorrow. Yes, it could be they built it because they panicked. Moshe's not back and they need a way to connect to me. Maybe they were doing it for noble reasons, but they'll realize it was misguided. Maybe they'll wake up and realize the error of their way and seek to correct it. Or they'll wake up and double down. They'll wake up and make it worse, spiral worse. And then I'll know that even the way they first did it was a mistake. Let's see how they wake up tomorrow. So he doesn't tell Moshe, get down there until Mamacharas, until the next day. And when Vayakumu Litzachek, when he sees the way that they woke up, it says everything. He pours in, Rav Shmuel Berenbaum, he says, Lahavdil, Europa, he came from Europe. In Europe, B'yom HaRishon on Sundays, idolaters, he's talking about, would go to their church and they would pray to their idol. We hold that these other religions are forms of idolatry. And how would they leave? Holier? More noble? More righteous? What was the minhag in Europe when you came out of church, particularly midnight mass? Why is there something called Nittelnacht, that a Jew doesn't go out on the night of December 25th, the eve before December 25th? Okay, there's mystical reasons, Al Pi Kabbalah, negative energies in the air. The simple historic reason was it was dangerous. A Jew wasn't outside on the eve of the mass that happened that night because the minhag was to leave church, get drunk, kill Jews, a pogrom. So, says Shmuel Berenbaum, you see how you behave after a so-called religious experience tells you how righteous that religious experience is. If the religious experience could lead you to do that, that was no religious experience. Let's see what comes afterwards, and we'll know everything about it. Everything about it. We'll know what comes with it. Then he says, the Rosh Hashiva said, sometimes young people, they get together for a fabrengen, for a kumzitz, they get together for an oneg. So if getting together leads you to then have a chavrusa, leads you to be a better person, you come home more kind, more charitable, more patient, it was wonderful. If it makes you drunk and fall asleep and miss Shabbos lunch with your family, that was not such a righteous, holy activity. So what happens next reveals how authentic and how righteous the first thing was. And that's why Vayila Macharas. Let's see what happens tomorrow, says Hashem. He doesn't send Moshe down when they build the Egel. He sends them down the next day when they double down, when they spiral down, when they go the wrong direction. If you go home from a kumzitz, a fabrengen, a tish, an oneg, And yeah, you had a few l'chaims, and you sang, and you connected with other people, and you're a better spouse, and you're a better parent, and you want to go learn Torah, then it was a wonderful experience. But if you go home in a drunken stupor and you have no time and no patience, you fall asleep, your family didn't even get you a Shabbos lunch, then it wasn't such a righteous, holy activity. Lamachros, what comes next, says everything about what was. Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Ches, 2 psukim later. So Hashem tells Moshe, quickly get down from the mountain. Saru maher min haderech asher tzivisim. They have strayed quickly from the way that I've commanded. Asulam egel masecha. They've made a calf. Vayishtachavu lo. They're bowing down. Vayizbechu lo, and they're sacrificing to it. Vayomer ele Elohecha Yisrael. And they're saying, this is the God of Israel. Asher aleluchem eretz Mitzrayim. Quickly, says Hashem, Moshe, get down there. They built it. They're worshiping it, and they're giving it credit for taking them out. Quickly, get down there. Suru maher min haderech. They have deviated quickly from the derech, the path. Talmud Echad. So Tefer Shmuel Berman quotes that a Talmud asked Rabbi Yerucham. A Talmud asked Rabbi Yerucham. The me'achas sheklal Yisrael rois galas hashchinas galas hachi gedola ba'olam Hashem bi'agvura anochi Hashem lokecha lo yeh lecha Elohim achirim hayitachen she'achar she'zalu klal Yisrael madreg gedola shel gilei hashchina adayin ha'yetzal hasinai. The classic question everybody asks, could it be? Could it be? The Jewish people who were present for the greatest revelation in history. They heard from Mipi Agvura. They heard God himself. And they quickly stray and worship an idol. How could it be? How could it be? Kedisa begitten. Aluva kalash zinsa bekerev chupasa. Gemara in Gittin likens it to the chassan and kal, the bride and groom on their wedding night, come from the wedding, go to the hotel, and the groom says, let me just go get some ice from the ice machine, and he ends up in someone else's room. That's not me, that's the Gemara in Gittin. Hashem just stood at Har Sinai with the Jewish people. He held the mountain like a chuppah over our head. He said, I love you, you love me. We're entering a covenant, a bond, forever, forever. And then we said, not forever, till we build a golden calf. How could it be? Zinsa bekerev chupasa. While the Jewish people were still at Sinai, we were building an egel. How could it be? So Rav Yerucham began to cry. This is the power of free will of a person. A Jew needs to know, no matter how inspired you get, no matter how much you've grown, no matter how much you've climbed, no matter how transformed you are, you're never, ever done. You're never, ever finished. The moment you feel, I'm good. I went to my Israel year. I'm good. I went to the Parsha year. I'm good. I had a fantastic Mussar Shmuz. And now I'm good. I don't need to grow. I don't need to learn. I don't need to go anymore. I'm good. The moment you think you're good, you're finished. You're done. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, don't believe in yourself until your day of your death. Don't trust yourself. Don't believe in yourself. This is the whole recovery community. Once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. You can't say, well, I went to AA, I was in patient therapy, I had my sponsor, I did my thing, and now I could have a drink. I'm no longer an alcoholic. These are issues, they get managed, they're never conquered. Whatever Yetzer Hara we have, because all of us could or should be in some form of a recovery. Some people are workaholics, some people are shopaholics. Some people are addicted to exercise in extreme ways that are unhealthy. Everybody has what they're a little too much. And the moment we think I've conquered it is when we're vulnerable to fall prey to it. The challenges we have in life are managed. They're never solved or conquered. They're managed. So long as we recognize with humility we're managing them, we're going to be good. The moment we feel we've conquered them, we're finished. And that, says Rav Yerucham, is the lesson of Chet HaEgel. We could walk away from Har Sinai. You could come away from the Ilan Yom Kippur, the greatest Mussar Shmuz, the greatest drasha, the greatest moment of a Chavrusa, the greatest shir, and realize we are vulnerable and fragile. Saru maher min haderech. That's why the Torah is telling us, says Rav Shmuel Berenbaum, that's why Moshe says, they've fallen quickly. HaTorah madgisha in zet afal bishadayinu etzel Har Sinai. Even while they were still at Har Sinai, saru maher. They fell quickly. we can fall quickly. Therefore, never give up your guard. You got to stay on top of it. And what did Moshe find when he came down? What did he find? Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Yud Tes, verse 19. When Moshe drew near to the camp, he saw the calf and he saw the mecholos, he saw the tanzen, he saw the dances. Moshe got angry and he destroyed the luchos and he broke them under the mountain. Moshe got angry and he broke the luchos. What seems to have made him angry? Hashem already told him about the egel. What seems to have set him off? Not just the egel. What else? The mecholos. What is a mecholos? What's a mechol? A circle. Even then we were dancing in a circle. That's the way Jews dance. We hold hands, we dance in a circle. Even then we were dancing in a circle. So Rav Shvadron, Gersh's great uncle, Shalom Mordechai Shvadron, says that he heard from his Rebbe, Rav Moshe Mordechai Epstein, the Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron, that Moshe Ra lo rak es ha'egel legam mecholos. He didn't just see the calf, what they were worshiping, he also saw the singing and dancing. The golden calf was not a reason enough for Moshe to have broken the tablets. That would not have been enough of a reason. Rak kesharas ha'mecholos. Only when he saw the circle. Why? That he already heard about from God. That he heard from God, that they had worshipped the calf. But even while they were worshipping a golden calf, they were not hopeless. You could have turned them around. If you could wake them up, if you could do an intervention, if you could help them realize what are you doing and make them stop, they were redeemable. Zeh sheraktu saviv ha'egel, but that which they were dancing around it, zeh hayasimin she'ena makirim b'chet. If you sing and dance and celebrate your mistake, your shortcoming, your failure, it means you don't even realize it's a failure. If you give in to the Yetzer Hara, person said something they shouldn't say, ate something they shouldn't eat, looked at something they shouldn't look at, but there's some shame, some guilt, there's a little bit of embarrassment, there's a little bit I realize it's wrong. So now you're redeemable, there's hope for you. But the moment that you sing and you dance and you celebrate and you say, look how wonderful what I did is, now it's going to be a lot harder. That's what made Moshe give up on them, smash the tablets. That's what made Moshe really worried. When he saw not only did they worship the egel, it was the mecholos. He doesn't quote this, but where else do you see this? Esav sells the bechorah. Esav sells the firstborn, the privilege of being the firstborn. And what does he do afterwards? Does he sit in Terkriya? Can't believe I had to do that. I was in a position. I was starving. What did I do? I had to do it. What does he do? Where does he go? He goes to the bar. He goes to the club. He has a drink. He celebrates. Esav is happy. He celebrates even this terrible error, even this terrible mistake. Mistakes, we're human. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. But do we own up? Do we look in that mirror of the kior? Do we try to come back and repair? Or do we sing and dance and celebrate? That's when we're really in trouble. Risor Salanter says, Vayishlach miyadav es haluchos. What does the pasuk say again? Pasuk Yotes. What does the pasuk say? Miyadav. He cast out of his hands. It should say miyado, his hand. Why does it say hands? Hands in the plural. Said Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. B'tchila chashav Moshe lahashlech es haluach harishon. Moshe was going to fire a warning shot. He was going to drop and smash only the first of the tablets. Because the first set of tablets has the laws between man and God. So which tablet needs to be smashed? The first one, that is the 5 commandments that are between us and God. Second tablet has the laws ben adam le chavero, the laws between man and man. So Moshe was only going to smash the one. What did the people violate? Between man and God, not between man and man. Moshe was going to only smash the one between man and God. Shuv nimlach shekein lo titachein shlemus ben adam l'chavero b'lishi yashon gam ben adam l'makom. What made him smash the second? Because he realized you can't be good with people if you're not good with their father. If you don't care for and have a relationship with God, you cannot adequately, genuinely, meaningfully have a relationship with his other children. So if the first tablet gets smashed, so does the second. The 2 tablets, they go together. They are intertwined, inextricably linked. Our relationship with God, our relationship with others, and our relationship with ourselves, those 3 things, they always go together. Says the Amaros Tahoros, the Rachmish Drifka Rebbe. Says the holy Rachmish Drifka. The Gemara tells us in Avodah Zarah, why did this whole episode happen? The Gemara says something astounding. Why would God orchestrate that we would worship a golden calf? Then Moshe would come and plead and God would forgive all of this. Why did it happen? Because we were going to make mistakes, individually and collectively. And this was the precedent. There is a way back, that you can make a comeback, that Hashem does love us, that He will forgive us. And so the whole episode is a learning opportunity. The whole episode is a precedent for us to know we can come back. And that's why Moshe broke the luchos, as if to say, what's going on here? And the people say we made a mistake, but Hashem had us do that so we can come back and it'll be a precedent. People will learn for the future. He says, oh, you broke something? I want in on it. He smashes the luchos. I'm also breaking something. You know, they have these rooms you could rent out, apparently to get out all kinds of stress. You could smash things. I don't know what they're called. We live in an unbelievable time. Someone made a business out of that. You pay money to come into a room to break things. I don't know. So Moshe Rabbeinu comes down. He says, oh, you're breaking things? I.e., you built an egel? I want in too. I'm breaking things. I want to be part of the learning opportunity for future generations. So I'm breaking something too. And when you break something, these rooms, these aren't Jewish rooms. Jews shouldn't go. Why? If you're so angry that you're smashing something against a wall, what are you doing? You're indulging anger. And when you indulge anger, what are you indulging? Idolatry. And what are you worshiping? Yourself. Because anger is the most unhealthy emotion a person can feel. That's what we learned. The Igeres Ramban, that we just completed the whole series, 33, 34 parts, 10 minutes each. The Ramban, the whole beginning is all about anger. We don't manage anger, we eliminate it. How do you eliminate it? He has a whole formula. And when you get so angry that you break something, that is unhealthy. That is idolatry. You're worshiping yourself, your ego. So they worshipped an idol, and Moshe, getting so angry he broke something, he worshipped an idol. By the way, I would never say this if not for the Rachmish Rivka Rebbe, the Amaros Tahoros. He says, not me. He's quoting the Nefesh David, who says this. They worshipped an idol, they broke something. Moshe says, I'm going to break something out of anger, which makes it as if I worshipped an idol, and therefore I'm part of the action of creating a learning opportunity in the future. Now, with that, he explains a pasuk. Vayihi kasher karav al machaneh vayaras ha'egel u'mecholos. When Moshe got close, he saw the egel and the circle. Shehevin Moshe amashen estavid ma'isa egel ein ela b'shvil ha'mecholos. Lahoros Chuva l'rabim shia aideza mechilas avonos. The egel was where it went wrong, and the mecholos stands for mechilas avonos. That right now, the precedent of doing something wrong will help people in the future know and believe that you can come back, just like we are. So, egel, mecholos, mechilos. And that's why he broke them, so he could have a part in their comeback and in their improvement. Okay, Mila Shem Elai, Rav Yerocha, Netziv we don't have time for. Mevakesh Hashem, a beautiful Targum we don't have time for. Na'ar, Yoshua is described, Perek Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Yud Aleph. Lamed Gimel Yud Aleph. We spoke about this last week or 2 weeks ago. Now we have Moshe pleads for Hashem's nearness. Show me your way. And Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Yud Aleph. Pasuk, go backwards. V'diber Hashem Moshe panim al panim. God spoke to Moshe face to face. Top of page 504. Kasher diber isha re'ehu. V'shav al hamachane. Moshe goes back to the camp. Umishar so, and his loyal assistant Yehoshua ben Nun, who's described here as being a na'ar. Lo yamish mitoch ha'ol. Yehoshua is always by his side. How old is Yehoshua here? According to the Seder Olam, 42 years old. According to the Ramban, Ibn Ezra, 56 years old, and he's called a Na'ar. And we said a couple weeks ago, why is he called a Na'ar? Because we're supposed to preserve our youthfulness, our innocence, our curiosity, our energy, the fire that we began the shir with. Yehoshua at 56 years old. 56 years old, Yehoshua. He's 56, and he's still a young man. In his energy, in his passion, in his curiosity, inquisitiveness, adventurousness. He's still, is that a word? We'll go with it. He's still a na'ar. And that's what we said. His na'ari me afar kumi. His na'ari. Shake off old age. His na'ari. Shake off the old age. Shake out the na'ar in you. Be a na'ar like Yehoshua. Ish el re'ehu. Okay, we'll do one more. Oh, that's so many more. But we'll do one more. One more Amara stars. I had another Rabbi Sachs. About Yom HaShvi, about Shabbos. But we're already ready for next year. One more from the Amaros Tahoros, from the Rach Misrivka. One more. Perak Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Chaf. Lamed Gimel, Chaf. The following. Beautiful Bas Ayin. Perak Lamed Gimel, Pasuk Chaf. Page 506. 506. Moshe says to Hashem, why are bad things happening to good people? Show me your face. Let me look at the world through your eyes. Let me understand how you run the world. And Hashem says, no, nobody can see me and live. Lo sucha liros es panai, ki lo yorani ha'adam v'chai. Nobody can see my face and live. Says the Bas Ayin. Lo sucha liros panai, ki lo yorani ha'adam v'chai. What do you mean? Back pasuk Yud Aleph, it says, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe panim al panim. It just said that God spoke to Moshe face to face. Kasher yidaber ish re'ehu. Just like I'm talking to you right now, Ish el re'ehu, you're all my friends, I'm your friend. Just like two friends who talk face to face, who have a cup of coffee, you have lunch, who get together, just like two friends talk face to face. So Moshe was talking to Hashem, panim upon him, face to face. So how could you fast forward a few psukim and Hashem said, no, nobody can see my face and live. What do you mean? Torah itself just described that Moshe is talking to Hashem face to face. Azai frek the Bas Ayin, that is the question of the Bas Ayin. Umevar ha'inyan. God can only dwell among us out of a sense of unity. When there is unity among the Jewish people, Hashem dwells. So when there's unity, then God speaks to us through our most righteous. And that's what the pasuk means. When does God speak to Moshe face to face? When we speak to one another, when we display and demonstrate friendship and love. Where do you see the words Ish el Re'ehu? We're going to end with the holiday coming up. I don't know if it's on your calendar, but there's a holiday on Friday called Purim. And there's a mitzvah of Mishloach Manos. You have to deliver Mishloach Manos. Ish el Re'ehu. Because the essence, the purpose of Mishloach Manos is, I don't lock my door and drink wine and celebrate for myself. I have to find a friend. I have to display community, camaraderie, friendship. And when you make your list of who you're giving Mishloach Manos to, don't think about the most popular kids in your class, most popular friends in your group. Think about who is least likely to get Shalach Manos. I beg of you, when you think of your list, make a list not of who will be getting from everyone. They don't need yours. They don't need yours. When you make your list, think of who is unlikely to get from anyone, whose doorbell will not ring, who there'll be nothing sitting outside the door, who is the least likely to be thought of or remembered by others. That has to be your list. That's the list. Because that's the point of Mishloach Manos. How did we defeat Haman? Lech kenos kol Yehudim. We displayed an incredible achdus. We got together for unity. That's the essence of Purim, unity. Tanis Esther, Thursday, is a reenactment of Lech kenos kol Yehudim. We're gathering again to display tremendous unity. And we still have the same enemies. Iran, Persia is still our enemy. We're still facing their wanting to eliminate and destroy not only the Jews of Shushan, but the Jews of the whole world. And how will we stop them? When we practice Achdus, Ish el Re'ehu. So when does God speak panim al panim? When we are Ish el Re'ehu, when we live with Achdus, with unity, then God does come down. Then He does live with us. He elaborates, he explains it even more, but we're out of time. Wishing everyone a Freilich and Purim, a wonderful, happy Purim. Please remain to say all of Sefer Tehillim for our brothers and sisters in Israel. I'll be in Israel for 2 days next week. I'll be back on Wednesday, but no Parsha Shir next week. I am giving a Shir in Yerushalayim on Monday. Anyone in Yerushalayim, join us 10 a.m. on Monday morning. I'll post more details about it. So we'll see you in 2 weeks from now.